A rookie season for the ages. The first rookie in NFL history to throw for 3,500 yards and rush for 800. His total QBR was the third highest by a rookie since the metric was introduced. He became the sixth rookie to start a conference championship game. And the Commanders scored 30 points no less than 7 times with him under center, the most with a single rookie quarterback in NFL history. He was asked today how he's getting ready for year 2 in Washington.
I got to go out there and prove myself each and every day. Like, no matter if it was last season, this season, or, 10, 20 years down the road, you got to prove yourself each and every season.
There is no flinch in Jayden Daniels. He is an absolute, as focused and relentless as you could about getting better. There's a lot of things that, he and the rest of us are really digging in hard on to say, all right, can we get this better? And if he does that, I do that, others do that. Like, we thought collectively, and there's a lot of space we can get better at.
Well, Louis Riddick has loved Jayden Daniels a long, long time, since way before the draft, and we can all see why. But it is not uncommon, and we talked about C.J. Stroud with Boog just moments ago, for quarterbacks to take a regression in year 2 for any number of reasons. So how can Daniels avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Hannah, look, Jayden Daniels himself is the last of my worries. He's the least of my worries. I'm not worried about him at all, and I think Dan Quinn already just really expressed that. So when you're talking about why do quarterbacks regress, a lot of times it's about things that surround them. First and foremost, it's about keeping people healthy around him. So meaning keeping the roster intact and making sure that the guys are available for 16, 17 games, and then improving upon those players that are surrounding him. And Adam Peters went out and did that. Look what they did on the offensive line, with getting Larry Tunsil, with drafting Josh Connerly, with drafting Jalen Lane, with bringing in Deebo Samuel. I mean, that's just knocking it out the park. And on the defensive side as well, they added players like Trey Amos, who's going to wind up being a shutdown corner for them. So the team got better. And then, really lastly, keeping the coaching staff intact, keeping the people who are in his ear primarily every single day in the meeting rooms, on the headset. And I'm pointing right at Cliff Kingsbury. He's still there. So that, to me, if you can keep those 3 things in order, look, he's going to do his part. But as long as you keep all that stuff in order around him, I think it's up and away even further, and he takes off and builds off of one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen.
It's the sky is the limit. I think it's the best rookie season we've ever seen. And I can't imagine. I mean, you can go Randy Moss. You can maybe say some of these other players at different positions, but from the quarterback spot to do all the statistical things that he did, and then also take your team from being the dregs of the league to the NFC Championship game, I think it's the greatest rookie season we've ever seen. So how do you get better? Well, you put the things around him. Deebo Samuel's coming in motivated. That's the best part about this deal. They didn't just trade for Deebo Samuel. They traded for Deebo Samuel in the final year of his contract, where he's not taking a pay cut from that massive deal he got from the 49ers. So he's making huge money, coming over to Washington, and basically in a 1-year deal. And the Commanders front office is saying, we're putting our names on you. Adam Peters drafted him out there in San Francisco. I'm going to put my faith in you. I'd love to pay an extension, but you got to earn it. So here comes Deebo, motivated, looking to go. We know what he can do. And then you mentioned Jalen Lane at the end there, Louis. Look, 4th-round pick, day 3 guy, Virginia Tech out of Middle Tennessee State. Just watch. This is one of those guys that Cliff Kingsbury had his eye on during the pre-draft process. Got him. Don't be shocked if you see a lot of Jalen Lane in that offense early and often for the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm. You normally make your biggest improvement from year 1 to year 2. And so I think that's why we all are super excited about Jayden Daniels. And I think for him, even though he had a really good year last year, at the quarterback position, the game is going to slow down. So it's going to allow him to make the people around him better. That's number 1. Number 2, I think he's got to understand that even though he rushed for 800-plus yards last year, you can continue to do that, but now you're so valuable to this team, to this city, to this organization. Make sure that you put those Lamar Jackson rules. Get everything you can get and then get down. Get everything you can get and then get out of bounds. That's the type of altitude he has ascended to right now, because he can be the MVP of this league, but he's got to continue to move forward and take that next step. And the next step for him is, how do you become amongst the elite, like Josh Allen, like Mahomes, like Lamar Jackson, where you can take your team and put them in these rare games consistently year after year after year. And everything you guys said is true, but now it's time for him to build off of it and take that next step.
Yeah. I mean, from my viewpoint, he's already in that category with those other quarterbacks. The only thing that he has to do is prove that he can do it consistently. That's the only thing that's technically keeping him out of that party, as those other quarterbacks have proven that they can do it year after year after year. And I believe Jayden Daniels will be able to do it. And Lewis really took my take right there, because this is what I had been saying. Every time people say, oh, sophomore slump, I keep saying so many of the times that you get a sophomore slump is coaching leaves, the players around you aren't as good, you either lose players, etc. And this is what we're saying: improve players around him, keep team healthy, which essentially is going to be kind of the same kind of category in a lot of ways, and then keep coaching team intact. And we see this so many times that when a quarterback has a great year, especially if they have like a defensive head coach or just not the main play caller, the OC then leaves and goes to another team, gets a head coaching job, and then you see some regression, you see some issues. We saw that with Josh Allen and Brian Daboll, Shane Steichen and Jalen Hurts, Shane Steichen and Justin Herbert. That's where we see some of these things. Everyone keeps using CJ Stroud as an example, but he had an awful O-line. He was top in the league at pressure rate. We saw Patrick Mahomes struggle with pressure. The team around him couldn't stay healthy. He was missing his wide receiver 1 and 2 and 3 throughout the entire season. And his coaching team, essentially his coordinator in this example, Bobby Slowick, proved to not be good enough to navigate that situation. A situation where the team did not have a great O-line and had players in and out of the lineup. And he was a young, more inexperienced coordinator. So, of course, someone like CJ Stroud is going to struggle in that moment. That is not what Jayden Daniels has with the Washington Commanders. I had said this before. I said the biggest thing for Jayden Daniels in the timeline of his career is one day losing Cliff Kingsbury, because I do believe they're going to continue to have so much success that Cliff Kingsbury is going to get a head coaching job one of these days. And he wants to redeem himself for him being scapegoated in Arizona. So, that's why I think this year will be another big year for him to continue to learn, grow, and evolve. And the idea that the game can slow down even more for Jayden Daniels is already a scary enough notion. And I agree with what Booger's saying in terms of, getting out of bounds, getting down. You got to protect yourself. And I'd been saying that since before Jayden Daniels ever took a snap in the NFL, that has to be key. And that's why I want to see more designed runs compared to scrambles in terms of where the bulk of your yard should come from, because it's been shown that designed runs are significantly safer than scrambles, actually. Because when scrambles, it's just you're more likely to take a hit that you weren't really exactly expecting. And designed runs are technically one of the safest plays that a quarterback can run. Actually, it's safer than them just sitting in the pocket, weirdly enough. And so a designed run for Jayden Daniels and using that to enhance the run game and take advantage of his mobility is something that I would love to see more, because then there's a way for him to more safely get some of these big chunk yardage plays, but still find himself out of bounds, sliding, or when he does have to take a hit, he's going to be more prepared for it, because he's going to understand what the play and what the defense is actually, what everything is going to actually involve when it's all said and done, which are things that you just don't necessarily have on scrambles, which is why, again, you see quarterbacks get hurt more on scrambles than designed runs, which again is actually pretty interesting as to the reasons why that, could necessarily be. So, but yeah, I mean, keeping Jayden Daniels safe, because I've also said this many times, and I'll continue to say this, because since he's such an electric runner and so exciting and dynamic, people sometimes lose sight of just how exciting and electric and dynamic of a passer that he is, and how electric and dynamic and exciting of a game manager that you can be, which just sounds so counterintuitive as well. It's why Jayden Daniels is a freak, man. He can literally just manage a game and it can just jump through the screen. So you could take his legs away and he would still be a special quarterback, which again is what makes him so special, because he does both just unbelievably well and unbelievably poised for so early in his career. So when you're saying you're going to see another big giant step forward, you see the biggest step from year 1 to year 2, it's kind of like, how much bigger could that step be? I mean, like, how much greater could he really get? To me, it's less about Jayden Daniels and more about the players around him. It's more about the defense. It's more about the having a running back who can have a big 150, 160 yard game. Having a running back that can reliably, rip off a 20+ yard run. When it's 3rd and 3, having a running back that can fall forward and get that first down, and not constantly relying on Jayden Daniels to be magical, giving him time in the pocket, allowing him to buy time, and using his legs to extend plays and not necessarily scramble, and having enough playmakers out in the wild that he can now throw the ball up and get a big play, right? And like what we've seen Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill do, for years and years. Like, make no mistake about it, without the Kelces, without the Tyreek Hills, think about how much less magical plays and larger than life moments that we would have saw from Patrick Mahomes. And then even the continuation after losing some of those playmakers, as well as just Travis Kelce getting older, what took over then? The defense. So, and just innovative and high level offensive game plans and play calling from Andy Reid. It was so many other things beyond just, hey, Patrick Mahomes, we need you to not only be special, but we need you to be even more special and more great than you were the year before. That's not necessarily the case. Can't really say that Patrick Mahomes has just been getting better and better and better and better and better and better and better. It's just not the reality, although he's been achieving more and more and more and more. So it takes a village, it takes an army. So that's what I'm looking for more than anything. And I think the Commanders are in that process and they're doing that, but you just don't know until you know, right? I thought the Texans were going to be a great team and be able to step forward. I was unaware that their O-line was not that good. And I was really high with Bobby Slowick, but then it was clear he was not making adjustments. He was not doing good enough of a job of dealing with some of the injuries. And again, I don't even blame him. He's a young coordinator. He was good at pulling the levers when he had the team that was complete and he knew what to do in that situation. He did not know how to troubleshoot. Quite frankly, Sean McVay didn't do a good job of troubleshooting when he had some injuries. Neither did Shanahan. It's a hard thing. The only coach right now that I've seen to really be able to troubleshoot injuries on offense and still be able to find ways to win is none other than Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the master at making players who, were either done or no one even heard of, and getting the most out of them. Bill Belichick was a very similar coach. So it's a hard thing to do here. But yeah, I continue to be excited about the Commanders. And it's just funny. I was talking about this with a diehard Commanders fan in the comment section. I can't say his name because his name is, it's not PG-13 and he knows it. But, I was saying, this is so frustrating because I said every single day I see a Chicago Bears video. Every single day. It's Chicago Bears, Caleb. And it's so fascinating to me because in a media landscape where you essentially can make like a million videos a day if you want. I mean, really, the only time that you have is like your own physical energy in that regard. And I just find it crazy to me that we can keep having the same conversation about Caleb Williams. How will Ben Johnson fare with Caleb Williams? How will Caleb Williams fare with Ben Johnson? What impact will Ben Johnson have on Caleb Williams? What do we expect from Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson? And it's just the same thing again and again and again. And if people want to keep talking about it, I'm going to keep talking about it. But I was just thinking to myself, and I was having this in the comment section where I was just like, it's so insane that there's essentially been like no conversation about Jayden Daniels, the actual rookie quarterback who balled out, who did have the greatest rookie year of all time, who does have all the momentum, and that this Commanders team does have all the momentum and has a real chance. And I'm going to be making a separate video on this, but I think ESPN with their, I don't know if it's called their power rankings, it's their Super Bowl rankings, whatever it is. And like I said, I'm going to make a separate video about it, but it gives them I think the 6th best odds to the sixth best percentage to win the Super Bowl, which is extraordinary. Extraordinary when you think about who the Commanders were in 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. I mean, like, it's just, when you look at the trajectory of how this team has gone, it's pretty extraordinary. And they're third only they're third in the NFC. It goes Eagles, which makes sense. Lions, for the most part, also makes sense. And then the Commanders. And I think the other three teams, I think it was the Chiefs, Bills, and then Ravens. So it's just like, that makes sense. That totally makes sense and is within reason. And it's just remarkable. And it's because of Jayden Daniels, but it's also because of Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. That's their trio right now. It's very Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Spags. Obviously not at that level quite yet, even just from a coaching perspective. But when you have that trio, you're in awesome shape. When you have coaches on both sides of the ball that you know without a shadow of a doubt that you can trust, and at least one of those and at least one side of the ball, ideally the head coach, actually really knows what he's doing. He knows how to run the team. He knows how to run the culture. He knows how to talk to the players, right? And you have the quarterback. I mean, you're just, as long as your GM and owner isn't just a complete disaster, and you're not at the mercy of just, injuries falling left and right, you're going to be a great team. You're going to be competitive. You're always going to have a chance to win the game, no matter what, whether it's week 7 or a conference championship game. There will always be that chance. And at the end of the day in football, man, that's really all you can ask for. And I'm sure Commanders fans who have been starving for any sense of relevancy, it's like, I mean, you could be jumping for joy for that. And now you combine that with like actual high level play, smart off-season moves. Well, then you put yourself in a position to like not only have a chance to win, but you should be winning, right? So just continues to be an exciting story for me, but also still frustrating to see the lack of attention for it all. That Jayden Daniels and the Commanders can have such an unbelievable season, and yet it's still so under-discussed. But to be fair, Jalen Hurts and Eagles, who won the Super Bowl, they've been under-discussed. The Commanders, they've been under-discussed. Heck, even the Lions. I mean, right now, the two most popular conversations that are being had right now are Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns, and Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Like, it's kind of wild. Two franchises that haven't done anything. And the franchise that won the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, who even went to the Super Bowls, the Bills, the Ravens, they're all getting less attention. But the Commanders are definitely at the near bottom. I mean, they may as well be the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. In fact, the Jacksonville Jaguars have gotten a little bit more attention than the Washington Commanders and Jayden Daniels. I don't know if it's because of Travis Hunter. I don't know. But it's just like, and there may be some belief that with Trevor Lawrence, but it's just kind of crazy. It really is. So try my best to, add some Commanders content to the universe. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Washington Commanders? What do you think about the risk of Jayden Daniels taking a step back? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.